The recent arrival of the U.S. Army's Typhon missile system in Japan marks more than just another military exercise. It is a symbolic and practical step that changes how the first island chain will be defended and contested in the years ahead. For decades, Japan has lived under the shadow of its pacifist constitution and its reliance on the American security guarantee. Now, the image of container launchers capable of firing both SM-6 interceptors and Tomahawk land attack cruise missiles sitting on Japanese soil signals that the line between shield and sword is beginning to blur. Typhon is not a household name, but it deserves attention. It is the U.S. Army's mid-range capability project, designed to fill the gap between short-range missile defenses and long-range strategic systems. Instead of building a new missile, the Army decided to create a flexible launcher that can fire existing weapons from ground platforms. The system uses containerized launchers on mobile trucks, giving commanders the ability to move them quickly between bases and islands. Each battery can load either the SM-6, which has a range of over 370 kilometers and can perform both anti-air and anti-ship roles, or the Tomahawk Block 5, with ranges up to 1,600 kilometers depending on the variant. In effect, Typhon allows a land force to bring naval-class strike weapons onto territory that would otherwise be limited to short-range artillery and rockets. That capability is exactly why it has been brought to Japan. The system was deployed to Marine Corps Air Station Iwakuni as part of the Resolute Dragon exercise. Iwakuni is not just any base, it sits near the East China Sea, within striking distance of the Senkaku Islands and the Miyako Strait. These waters are the gateway through which Chinese naval vessels and aircraft must pass to reach the broader Pacific. By hosting Typhon, the United States and Japan are demonstrating that they can put high-end strike capability right at the choke points of the first island chain. The message is clear. For China, it means any attempt to surge forces through the Miyako Strait or around Taiwan faces the threat of long-range precision fire from Japanese soil. For North Korea, it means the entire peninsula is covered by SM-6 and Tomahawk arcs, adding to the layered deterrence already created by American and South Korean forces. Even Russia cannot ignore it. From Iwakuni, Tomahawk variants can reach parts of Primorsky Krai, including Vladivostok. And for Japan itself, it is the first time that offensive strike missiles of this class are openly hosted, reinforcing Tokyo's new strategy of proactive defense that breaks with the purely defensive posture of the past. This change aligns with Japan's wider trajectory. Tokyo has committed to raising defense spending to 2% of GDP by 2027, which would make it the third largest military budget in the world. It has ordered more than 400 Tomahawk missiles from the United States while developing the extended-range Type 12 surface-to-ship missile, which could reach targets at 1,000 kilometers. But those indigenous projects will take time. Typhon provides an interim capability, filling the gap until Japan's own systems are produced in large numbers. In that sense, the deployment is both a training exercise and a bridge to a future in which Japan wields long-range precision strike as a normal part of its arsenal. The operational impact should not be underestimated. If a crisis erupted in the Taiwan Strait, Typhon batteries in Japan could target Chinese warships, missile launchers, or command nodes before they could act. If the United States decided to forward deploy similar systems to the Philippines under the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, the first island chain would be bracketed from north and south. Chinese planners would face a pincer of land-based cruise missiles covering both the Miyako Strait and the Bashi Channel. This is the logic of integrated deterrence, not relying on a single platform, but weaving together land, sea, and air systems across Allied territory. Typhon's integration with other assets is equally important. Japan already operates Aegis destroyers armed with SM-3 and SM-6 interceptors, and the United States 7th Fleet maintains a permanent presence in Yokosuka and Sasebo. Adding land-based Typhon creates another node in the defensive-offensive web, complicating any adversary's calculus. The system can receive targeting data from ISR platforms such as P-8 maritime patrol aircraft, space-based sensors, or even Allied F-35s. In practice, that means Typhon is not an isolated launcher, but a plug-in to a wider command and control network that spans from Hawaii to Guam to Okinawa. Still, challenges remain. Politically, the Japanese government must explain to its citizens why a system capable of striking deep into neighboring countries is consistent with the Constitution's Article 9. Tokyo has already framed the purchase of Tomahawks as a defensive measure, calling it a counter-strike capability rather than an offensive weapon. Whether the public accepts this framing will affect how far Japan can go in hosting such systems on a permanent basis. Militarily, Typhon is still new. It has not yet been fired in combat from Japanese soil, and questions remain about its readiness, resupply, and survivability against precision strikes. Container launchers may be mobile, but they are also obvious targets if satellites and drones can track their movements. Strategically, the deployment carries escalation risks. China and North Korea are likely to see Typhon as an attempt to normalize strike capability against their homelands. In a crisis, they may prioritize eliminating these batteries early, drawing the US and Japan even deeper into confrontation. Some analysts argue that land-based Tomahawks in Japan could become use-it-or-lose-it assets, incentivizing rapid use in a conflict rather than restraint. Others counter that the very existence of such weapons extends deterrence, raising the costs of aggression beyond what Beijing or Pyongyang might accept. The larger picture is that Typhon embodies Japan's gradual shift from shield to sword. For decades, Japanese strategy relied on American offensive power as the sword, while Japan provided the shield in the form of bases, logistics, and defensive systems. That division is breaking down. By acquiring and hosting systems like Typhon, Japan is signaling that it will not only block incoming attacks, but also reach out to neutralize threats before they arrive. This is a profound shift in the balance of responsibilities within the US-Japan alliance. The future will tell whether Typhon remains a temporary guest or becomes a permanent feature of Japan's defense posture. If Japan continues to expand its own missile programs, it may eventually field indigenous systems with similar or greater ranges. If the United States decides to rotate Typhon through multiple Allied territories, the first island chain could become a continuous belt of land-based strike nodes, closing off Chinese naval access to the Pacific. Either way, the deployment at Iwakuni is a signal that the strategic environment of East Asia is changing faster than at any time since the Cold War. In conclusion, the Typhon missile system in Japan is not just another training event. It represents a step into a new era of deterrence in East Asia. By hosting Tomahawks and SM-6 on its soil, Japan is testing the boundaries of its constitutional constraints, while the United States demonstrates its willingness to forward deploy cutting-edge capabilities to Allied territory. Whether this becomes the foundation of a permanent counter-strike posture or simply a trial run, the strategic message is unmistakable. The first island chain is being hardened, and the days when adversaries could assume free passage into the Western Pacific are over. The question now is not whether Japan will wield the sword, but how far and how fast it will swing it.